Go ahead and flip your switch and make sure it turns green there.
A bit of everything.
Right, oh, right there, I got you.
There we go.
All right, good to go.
Good morning. Good morning. Wow, that was good. It's good to see you all this morning. Thank you for being here. We've got a special guest with us this morning. This is Tom Berry.
Hello.
He's the president of Capital Title, and he's going to talk to us about wire fraud because I talked about it last week, and I figured we might as well bring somebody from a title company to come and share their experiences with it. So, Tom, with that being said, take it away.
Great. Okay. Well, hello, everyone. See some faces I know, many I don't. So nice to meet everybody. Probably the number one target of wire fraud is us and mortgage companies, because we hold everybody's money, and we hold, as I always say, we hold millions and millions of dollars on a daily basis, none of which belongs to us, and that makes us a prime target. So, we probably, we're the largest independent agent in the state, meaning we have 90 locations statewide. Wow. So, which is, I think we have something like 70 different escrow accounts with different banks, many of those accounts have a average daily deposit in the millions of dollars, right? Because there's just a lot of transactions. So, one of the things I wanted to talk with you about are some really simple steps that you can take. What's kind of funny about our industry, and by that I mean collectively the real estate industry, is as technology and automation have pushed to make things easier on the consumer, it's actually made the incidence of fraud and the ways in which fraud occurs a lot easier for scammers. So let me give you the most common scenario. The most common scenario that we encounter every day, we probably have on average 5 attempts at wire fraud a day within our company. Wow. Okay, and we're not in any way unique. I talk to other folks that own and run other title companies, and it's the exact same scenario. We're under daily assault, to the point where the Texas Land Title Association, which is our TREC essential, well, really it's our TAR is really what it is. It's our association. The largest committee that we have on TLTA now statewide is the Wire Fraud Committee. So there, I think we have 50 people on that committee now. The issues that come up are many of the things that your clients really like and demand of you and of us to make things more convenient, right? Which is remote deposit through a mobile app, all of those things that are designed to make it easier for the consumer to deposit their earnest money, to deposit to send their down payment. Most people don't want to go get a cashier's check. They want to wire funds now. And it's kind of funny because if you go back, you probably all remember this, go back 5-10 years ago, the number one source of fraud at title companies was fraudulent cashier's checks, right? In fact, to the point where we all stopped taking cashier's checks. We kept saying, hey, wire your money, wire your money. Well, unfortunately, the folks that are criminals in this enterprise evolve just as fast or faster than we do. So now, really, one of the least secure, well, that's not true, but one of the least secure things that your client can do is send a wire without doing some very simple verification steps. So the easiest way that you can protect your clients from wire fraud, believe it or not, is to tell them to go a little old-fashioned and pick up the phone and call Tanya or call Kay to confirm, call a known number to confirm before they send money anywhere. Because here's the most common scenario. The most common scenario is that someone in the transaction is not using a secure encrypted email, whether that's normally that's the consumer. Sometimes it's the agent. If you're not using your brokerage email, if you're using a Yahoo address or something, I would advise that you not do that, because those are a much easier email account to hack or to access. And really, what's kind of funny is they're not going into the bank and stealing the money. What they're doing then is that they're getting access to your account or to the consumer's account, or to our account, although I'll talk to you about the steps that we've done to prevent that. And what they're then doing is they're just watching, they're just monitoring the email account, and they're looking for things that are coming across that are communication about the transaction, which would be what? Everybody's emailing the contract, right? We send out wiring instructions, right? We've got signature lines on our emails that say, hey, who's the escrow officer, what's their name, what's their picture, what's their, all of those things are in there.
Closing disclosure.
Yeah, closing disclosure, any of that stuff. And then what they're doing is they're waiting. It's pretty simple, right? Then you just wait until it's really close to the transaction. In fact, they know when the transaction is because they get an email saying, hey, we've scheduled your closing for 10 a.m. And then they wait, say an hour before in many cases, and they for a while it was that they were spoofing an email address, and they can't actually take over for example, the ctot.com domain, but they can have something that says, kmilligan@ctot.gmail.com, and if you're not paying attention to it, and then they just screen grab the signature line, I can't tell you how many I've seen that are like that, where it's a Gmail account, but it says K Milligan on the front, and it's got her signature line in it or something like that. And so it says, oh, by the way, here are your new wiring instructions. Well, a couple things. We never, ever, ever, ever change wiring instructions in the middle of a transaction, ever. That's not the way our escrow accounts work. So if they get any kind of, hey, our new wiring instructions are, you can automatically tell your client, those are fraudulent wiring instructions. We are never going to send updated wiring instructions in the midst of a transaction, ever. Number two, and actually the more common scenario now is they get everyone's phone number, and then they do one of two things. They either call the buyer and say, hey, this is Tanya Poulin, your escrow officer on such and such, and I needed to go ahead and give you the wiring instructions over the phone right now so I can let you know where to send the money. That just happened to some folks at another title company just recently, and they wired off $86,000.
That's pennies compared to what happened.
Yeah,
to
no,
us.
I hear. But here's an interesting story about that. Those folks, remember that even now on your personal bank account, you have a certain amount of fraud protection, right? Which protects you from someone illegally accessing your bank account and taking money out of it. What it does not protect you from is you going in and actively sending money to a fraudulent source, right? So, I was talking to the people at the title company where that happened, and that was the net of that was, hey, their bank was saying, I'm really sorry, but you initiated wiring instructions to this account, and by the time the title company caught it when the money didn't show up, the money's out of the account. So,
there's nothing that they can do on the bank side to stop this from happening?
well, they can if they get there fast enough. In this particular instance, it was 4 days before the closing. The buyer wired the funds and didn't tell anybody. They didn't tell their agent. They just assumed, hey, I got a phone call. I sent the funds 4 days before closing because the person told them on the phone, we have to get the money at least 2 days in advance. It was something that sounded plausible. And the only way they found out was then the day of closing, the buyer had some sort of tingly feeling and said, hey, I'm worried that I sent that money to the wrong place. It was 4 days later, right? So at that point, the money has hit the account. Somebody has pulled the money out of the account, and off we go.
So the banks don't do anything to guarantee that the people that are opening those accounts are legitimate?
No, they do. Well, they do their due diligence, which is, and here's a good question. Here's the other most common scenario. Someone, they have what you would call sort of, we used to call them on loan fraud, straw borrowers. They have people who are approached and said, hey, I'm going to pay you $5,000. Will you open this account? I mean, those people end up getting caught, and invariably they're not the folks that were really the actual criminal enterprise, right? So they'll open a bank, and of course, if you open a domestic bank account, there's a certain amount of information you have to have, but more often than not, those are people who it's, hey, they get some story, some scam story about, I need you to open this account. I've got money coming into this account, but I can't get to it. And, for your trouble, I'll pay you $5,000. And then they go get the money out, and then those people get arrested. You might get $5,000 back, right? So the things that we're really advising people to do, number one, we and all title companies use some version now, and we're required to by the Department of Insurance, some sort of secure email or encrypted email system that overlays our Exchange server. And it does make things a little less convenient. We've quite frankly, we've had people complain about ours because now if there are certain trigger words in it, like disbursement or wire or commission, right? It gets automatically filtered, because what we have to assume is that whoever's receiving that email does not have an encrypted account, right? And so what they get is an email that says, hey, you've got to log into this secure site to view that email. When we first switched it on, pretty much every email was getting flagged, and it was that was a pain in the butt. And so now we've been kind of dialing it down and tweaking it down to try to make sure that if it's you or a client that is receiving that email, that they're only running through that encrypted email if they contain confidential financial information. It's hard for us to be foolproof in terms of not having certain emails go through that probably don't have to be secure, but we've made the decision to err on the side of caution as opposed to, we accidentally let one through that has information that someone can access. In terms of what you need to be advising your clients to do is before they send money via a wire, I hate to say this, but the best, most foolproof thing they can do is to call a known number, to call a Capital Title office because they know the number. You can look it up on our website, it's in there, and speak to the escrow officer or the escrow officer's assistant and say, I'm about to send this money, I just want to verify the escrow bank and the escrow account number, right? It's a minor inconvenience, but when you have someone who sends $400,000 to the wrong place, believe me, they'll be really, really happy that they made that one phone call. And we have actually had some folks call us in the last year and say, hey, I'm about to send my money, I just want to confirm. And the answer was, oh no, that's not our escrow account, and that email or call you received had nothing to do with us.
What state is your bank account out of?
Texas. Okay.
What was that, a Boca Raton, Florida?
Yeah.
Really?
So, yes, all of our accounts are domestic accounts, right? That means they're sitting in Texas. So right away, if it's not a Texas bank account, boom, it's not us, right? I'm not aware, some of the larger national companies have trust companies, their own internal bank. Like First American's a good example of one that has, they escrow bank with their own bank called.
This one rhymed with Stewart.
Okay, Stewart, there you go. So the Fidelities and some of them have like one central bank, and I can't speak to them. They could conceivably have an out-of-state bank account, but we are a Texas-based company. All of our accounts are with, some of them are with national banks, but they're with the Texas versions of those national banks. And so all of our accounts, the address on the account will be in Texas, right? But I wouldn't only trust that. And in fact, the most common scenario is that you almost always, when I see these, it's an out-of-state bank. So now they're wiring to somewhere outside of Texas, still domestically, but somewhere outside of Texas. Tell your folks to pick up the phone when you're representing a buyer well, really, those are the most common scenarios. Tell them to pick up the phone and just confirm before they wire the funds that they are actually wiring them to our escrow account. It's a 20-second confirmation on the phone. It's nothing. They just have to pick up the phone and call. Right. Tell them if they receive a call from a title company saying, hey, here's where you're supposed to send your money, to pick up the phone and call back and verify that, because I'm not going to say 100% of the time that's fraudulent, but probably 99.9% of the time that's fraudulent, because we send out via encrypted email wiring instructions for our bank. And even when they receive those, I just think it's on the day of closing or the day they're going to send that money, pick up the phone and call. We never call, Kay, correct me if I'm wrong, we never pick up the phone and tell someone, hey, it's 5 days to closing, I need your money now, right? That never happens, right? So if they get a call from someone saying, hey, they're telling me to send my money right now, they've got to get my money in well in advance of the closing, 99.9999% of the time, that is going to be a fraudulent phone call. But what's really concerning is, remember that most of the time now, they're not even getting a fraudulent email, they're getting a phone call from someone. And the way that they're getting a phone call from someone is that they have access to someone's non-secure email or non-encrypted email, and they have all of the information about who you are, who we are, what the phone numbers are, what the email addresses are. So it's really easy for them to call and pick up the phone and say, hey, I'm Kay Milligan with Capital Title, I'm your escrow officer. And of course that sounds very, very plausible to someone who, again, how often do people sell a home? Once every 7 years, right? It's not something that most, outside of this room, it's not something that most people in the world are expert on. They don't understand the process particularly well. So we have some information about some really simple steps. I know Leanne's got those, some really simple steps that you can take. One of the most important things you can do is make sure, and my personal advice would be to make sure that when you're conducting business, use your brokerage supplied website, because generally speaking, those are going to be websites that are, those are going to be email addresses that are secure and or encrypted. Also understand that I know it's kind of a pain in the butt, but when you get a secure or encrypted email from us, we now have a dedicated customer support line for agents and consumers. If they have any issue accessing their secure emails, there's a 1-800 number. We send out a tutorial video, so it's really easy for them if they can't get access to it to pick up the phone. And we have a dedicated group of people sitting in Dallas that answer the phone, and their only job is to help people get into those encrypted emails. But trust me, you'll be really happy that you had to log into an encrypted site the minute one of your consumers or clients hits send and they send it to the wrong place. So with that said, I'm happy to answer any questions. We're really advising people to advise their buyers and sellers, for that matter, that they need to verify by phone. I cannot guarantee you, the other thing is that you can't do anything about the fact that that your client, has a Gmail account or has a Yahoo account or has an AOL account, and that's what they're going to use. It's not reasonable to expect them to run around with a personal email that's encrypted. So you also, one of the things you can help to do to make your life a little easier is just give them the information on the front end. Hey, you may be getting a secure email. You may be getting a notification that says something is a secure email from the title company. Don't freak out. They have to go in one time and set up a username and a password. Once they've set it up, it doesn't, as long as they're coming in from the same email address, it doesn't force them to log in again, but it's really going to help them protect their financial information.
If our clients bring a cashier's check, how many days in advance do you need that?
Well, here's how that works, and this is not a limitation. This is a banking system limitation more than anything else. Bring it in the day before closing, and here's why. We have to, before we can, remember that the Department of Insurance says that we have to fund on good funds. Cashier's check are good funds, but they have to post to the escrow account before they're technically good funds, right? Generally speaking, if you bring in a cashier's check at, on Tuesday, it's not going to post to the escrow account because of the way the bank clears it until Wednesday morning, right? So, and we do have this come up sometimes. We will do the process of verifying the cashier's check, right? So our escrow teams, our escrow accounting department will pick up the phone and call the issuing branch and say, because there are still fraudulent cashier's checks, but you should set the expectation with your folks that if they're going to bring a cashier's check, ideally they should bring it in the day before or understand that the file won't fund until the next morning. And for many people that doesn't matter. They say, it's no problem, I'll bring it on the day of closing. We weren't going to, sometimes you get into the, well, is the seller going to give us keys before the file officially funds? And that's really not a call that we get to make. But to answer your question, 24 hours is the minimum amount of time normally that a bank takes to post a cashier's check.
Is it okay for people to bring in briefcases full of cash?
No, no, it is not. I remember when, I don't know if any of you know Larry Molinaire, but he works at Gracie. I used to work at Gracie Title with Larry, and this was before my time. He told me about a time in the 80s they had a transaction closed, and someone literally brought in $1 million in a briefcase in cash, and they had to sit there and count out the money. We cannot do that. We cannot accept cash. Remember that we cannot accept, if it's the Department of Insurance minimum accounting standards require that if it's in excess of $1,500, it has to be good funds. So we can't take a personal check. Sometimes if it's, hey, the buyer's going to need to come to closing with $800 in cash, they can actually write a personal check for that. We discourage them from doing that. It's better, again, for the good, we have to have good funds in order to fund. Certainly that's why you can drop off earnest money and it can still be a personal check because that's well in advance of. But generally speaking, we cannot take cash. We cannot take personal
gold bars.
Cannot take gold bars. Cannot take barter. It has to be good funds. Cashier's checks, wires. Remember, another thing that's coming up a lot. We have a lot of folks that are initiating wires from a mobile device. Normally, when you initiate a wire from a mobile device, as opposed to calling your bank and initiating one or going through their actual full-blown online portal, it comes across as an ACH. An ACH is not good funds, right? Because those can be recalled for up to 10 days. So remember that one of the things we also are emphasizing to people, in fact, we've adjusted our wiring instructions now to read, there's a big thing on there that says if you're sending from a mobile device, please confirm that this is in fact a wire. Because that's something that understandably really frustrates somebody when they get on and they initiate a wire the morning of, and then we reject it, because what happens is when it hits our escrow account, there's an automated process that says if it comes across as ACH, it sends it back. So be sure that you're communicating that to your clients as well, that if they're going to initiate from a mobile device, to please confirm with their bank whether or not that's ACH, because it will get sent back. My number one piece of advice is just set the expectation with them that this is an entire industry, right? I mean, we tracked one back to the Czech Republic, right? They were spoofing emails from a Czech Republic website. So these are not even people that are sitting in the country. Generally speaking, they have some co-conspirator, either witting or unwitting, in the country that's, helping them, opened a bank account, opened a domestic account. But normally that's not the person who ends up with the money. In many instances, that's not a person who knew what they probably should have known better, but they didn't know, that they were actively engaged in what is a federal crime. That's it. The easiest low-tech solution is pick up the phone, call your escrow officer, and confirm before you send the money. Okay? We have never once had anybody actually access an account and take money out of it. They're literally emailing and calling people and getting people to send the money to them.
So what is the, once it happens, what exactly does the FBI do? Do we know?
Very little. I mean, it depends. And here's why. To be fair to the FBI, this is one of these kinds of financial crimes are now one of their biggest investigatory areas. They're completely overwhelmed by it. I mean, that's the truth. So
the first time it happened in our office 4 years ago, it was the only other time that actually happened was like $3,600.
Yeah.
And they just said, we're not doing anything for less than $20,000.
Yeah.
Well, $15 grand and 3 high-end guitars on their website.
Yeah.
And they went directly to Russia.
Yeah. I've been told recently by an FBI agent that they're not looking at anything under 30,000 now, right? And a lot of them are under 30,000, right? Many of these are 10 or 15. It was still a lot of money. The reality is that we have we report, you report. I think there's just too much of it going on. A $400,000 plus one probably will get some attention, but we actually purchased a title company, more or less because it was a terminal event for them. They sent $500,000 fraudulently, and without knowledge of it. This is one where it was an incoming call to the title company from someone saying, "I'm the seller, and here's where I want you to send my proceeds," right? So we also drill into our folks, pick up the phone and confirm that. And in this case, this title company sent out $500,000 to someone else, right? And recovered, I think, about $150,000 of it. So
that title company's not in business
anymore. And that was a terminal event. We're a very large company. We have every conceivable kind of fraud insurance and cybercrime insurance that you could. If there's an insurance policy for this, we've bought it. But remember, that also only covers us if we're the ones that send the money somewhere else. That's a question that I know has come up before at other title companies as well. I thought I was sending that to you. What protection do you have for me? And the answer is, well, we don't have anything that would protect you from sending your money to the wrong source. So even the stuff that we have is only in effect. And in this case, this title company, just believe it or not, believed that they had purchased cyber insurance, essentially cybercrime insurance, and they had, but one of the things it did not cover was what we call social engineering, which is someone picking up the phone and calling you and saying, "Send the money to me," which is not a cybercrime. That is social engineering. So that's the other thing. You may get some of your consumers saying, "Well, I have cybercrime insurance on my account." Better read it, because as I'm in the insurance business, and what your insurance policy doesn't cover is usually every bit as important as what it does cover. And one of the things that none of them cover that I've been able to find, you have to buy a policy called social engineering insurance in order to be protected from someone calling and inducing you.
I didn't have any. I had great insurance.
Right. Any other questions?
Yeah. The encryption I don't quite get. What
Well, ours, we use a system called Mimecast, right? And so what happens is that we have internally a program. Mimecast sits on top of our Exchange server, and anytime Kay or I or Leanne or anybody goes to send out an email, right? It scans that email, and it scans the attachments on that email, and it makes a determination. It's not perfect. It's kind of an AI system, and it says, okay, do I see things like the wire? Do I see like a physical dollar amount? So it's looking for a dollar sign. It's scanning the text, right? Or do I see the word wire or distribution or SSN for Social Security number or any number of things, right? And if it sees those things, then that email gets sent basically through Mimecast, and what the recipient sees is an email that says you have received a secure email from Capital Title. Here's the link you click on to go. If you already have a username and password set up that's associated with that email, then when you click on it, it verifies your email and puts you in so you can see it. But it's essentially then sitting in a secure server somewhere else, right? So the only way you can see it is to log in and view the email there, as opposed to on your Yahoo account where it's not encrypted, right? Obviously, that creates an extra step. Right? If you receive one, if you're copied on it and you have not logged in and set up a username and password associated with that email address, then in order for you to view it, certainly the first time you're going to have to go in and set up a username and set up a password. Ideally, from that point on, if it recognizes your email and you get another one, you can click on the link and it will automatically take you into that secure website. One of the issues with that, of course, is that sometimes it grabs an email that probably didn't have to go secure, right? Like this happened to me the other day. Someone was asking me about someone's birthday, right? Well, birth date, right, is also non-personal, non-public financial information by that definition, right? And so I sent someone a happy birthday, and they got a notification saying, you've gotten a secure email from Tom. Right, so we are going back literally every day. Our IT department goes back in and tweaks the list and tries to, you'd be amazed at the stuff that it was catching at first. Someone abbreviated association to ASSN, so SSN, so security number, right? Then it was sending that. We also now have to make it a little more convenient for everybody. We've got a thing called what's that thing called now? Secure SafeSend, Safeguard. What it is now is it actually gives us a notification when we're sending an email. Before the email goes out, it pops up and says, hey, by the way, this one's going to get, here's what we found. This one's going to get sent securely. Do you really mean for it to go securely? And then we at least have the option to go back in and go, oh, it's catching, something that's not really, doesn't need to be secure. I'm going to modify the email and then send it, and so it won't automatically go secure send. But that's what, that's the, and Mimecast is a big national provider of this kind of service. So they're the one that we chose to go with. They're extremely secure. Large companies use them. The idea being that it at least then we know, okay, when you're getting that from us, you have to go somewhere secure to look at it. Now, if they turn around and forward it back into their email or do something with it that then makes it not secure, then obviously you can't control that part of it. So it is, if you need any help, if you receive an email from Capital and you're not sure how to get set up, you can call Leanne, you can call Tanya, you can call Kay, you can call me, and we can either help you or we can put you in touch with we have a dedicated helpline for this now that will help you get set up and help you get set up right the first time so that it's easier on you.
It's right there.
Yeah. In fact, on the bottom of this flyer, that's when you call that number, you're not calling Mimecast, you're calling Capital Title. So we set up a toll-free number for consumers and agents. So it's on the bottom of this Mimecast flyer, which describes the service. Any other questions?
Julie.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I did not make enough copies.
okay, we'll bring some more.
I have like way too many.
Yeah.
This time I did not. Okay, so, can you
There you go.
Okay, that's cool. Who didn't get one?
And I will tell you that most title companies are going to some form of encrypted email for exactly this reason. And in fact, we have a requirement now through the Department of Insurance that we have to have, and actually through ALTA best practices, the American Land Title Association, we are now required if we want to qualify for national lender business, we have to have an encrypted email system, or there's certain business that national lenders won't send us. They won't put us on their approved list.
All right.
Okay?
If there was one thing you wanted everyone to walk away with, what would it be?
Be setting the expectation with your consumer that they need to verify any money. Before they send it, they need to verify where that money is going. And the single best way for them to do that is to pick up the phone and call the title company. That is the only secure way, 100% secure way. Don't rely on any technology or anything else other than speaking to a human being that you know who it is on the phone. And again, how long does it take for you to verify wiring instructions?
Oh, less than 30 seconds.
There you go. It's a 30-second phone call. And they'll be really, really happy that they did it.
Great.
Okay?
Good.
Thank you,
Find
guys.
value in this? Good.
You bet.
Thank you so much, Tom. All right, now we're going to pass a few things out here. Yeah, here. You take that half. One for you. There you go. What's that? I got it. I think you guys need one more.
You know, and I knew that something was coming, but I
Yeah.
didn't know it was today.
All right, so yes, sir. Hang on one second. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Good to see you. Mark, you had a question before we get started. What is it? Oh, eEdge is what market leader was the predecessor to Command. Let's get together afterwards and we'll talk about it. 'Cause I need to understand a little bit more about what you're talking about. Okay? All right. All right, does everyone have one of the 9 steps to transition your business to Command? So AA has a 12-step process. We have a 9-step process. So we're going to go ahead and get started with this. Here's what the format's going to be today. We're going to watch a 35-minute video, and you can take notes along through the process here of what you'll need to do to get your business ready for Command. And then we're going to talk about some things that we have coming up in the Market Center that are going to help you with getting ready for all of these things. Here's what I want to give you on the front end of this. Don't feel overwhelmed and don't feel like you have to leave here and do every single thing in Command. You can take 6 months to do all of these things, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be done overnight. And as a matter of fact, if you go home and try to do these things overnight, you'll probably just say, you know what, I don't think I should be in real estate anymore. And we can have a conversation about that later. But I don't want to have that conversation because you can do this and you don't have to do it all today. So we're going to chunk it down. We're going to take bits and pieces. We're going to do it over time. And remember, every single Monday from 8:30 to, or not 8:30, from 9:30 to 10:30, we have Command Central, which is right out here in the open area, and we will work through it. And then also on April 25th here in the office. On our calendar right now, it says that we have Genius Days. What that's actually going to be for us is on that Genius Day, we are going to have every single person from our leadership team here in this room available to help you upload your database into Command from wherever you already have it. Doesn't matter if it's an outside system, doesn't matter if it's an e-edge, it doesn't even matter if it's in a spreadsheet. If it's on paper, it's going to take a little while, yet we have a way that we can help you with it. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and start here on our 9-step process to getting your business ready for Command.
Scott, do you have extras of those?
I do, right here.
Oh, here's one. What do you pen?
Good morning and happy Friday, everybody. This is David
Or
Voorhees.
Tuesday,
I am
happy
coming to you
Tuesday.
live from Austin, Texas on our KW Connect Live studios. And we're here today to talk about transitioning your business into Command. So this is kind of the first, what I would think if I was taking in these live stream sessions, this would probably be the first class I'd want to take. This is really where we start to think about processes and analyze the things we should be doing before we ever even do anything inside of Command. So we're going to take you through kind of 3 phases and 9 total steps to move your business over to KW Command. And keep in mind that transition is probably going to take some time, right? We don't think this is probably a 1 week or even a 1 month process. For my team, it probably looks like 3 to 6 months total to get our business operating more in Command than in our current system. So it's definitely a process. I want you to keep that in mind as we move through today. But thank you so much for joining us. Those of you that are live in the room with me, you can join by raising your digital hand. If you raise your hand, I'll be able to realize that you have a question or an aha today, and we would love as much interaction as we can get. If this turns into a one-way conversation of me talking to you, then you are losing. I am here to answer your questions. I'm here to give you as much information as I can and provide valuable feedback to you. So I really, really appreciate your time. I want to make the most of it. If you're watching on KW Connect Live, you can join us on Slido.com. That's Slido.com. R356 is where you can see the Slido link. You can post your questions and ahas there. We're going to have plenty of opportunities to do that today. So take advantage, write down, type in, raise your hand in the classroom. We want to make this an engaging class. We want to make sure you get a lot out of today. This is going to be a pretty quick 30-minute session where we're going to talk at a pretty high level about the things you're going to do before you ever move over to Command. Let's start off real quick with the Tech Enabled Agent page. Where can you find all of your KW Command and technology necessary information? Tech Enabled Agent page. That is on KW Connect under the Technology dropdown under the Tech Enabled Agent page. So KW Connect, Technology dropdown, Tech Enabled Agent. That's where you can find all of the materials of all the courses we teach, all the archived video, how-to videos, you name it, it's there when it comes to our technology, including the guide for today. So the guide for today is going to be about halfway down the page under Tier 1 guides. It's called 9 Steps to Transition Your Business to Command, right there at the Tech Enabled Agent page. So again, if you want to join us live on Slido, it's slido.com, R356. We would love all of the questions and ahas you have through today. Even if they're not necessarily related to this, I'd be happy to field as many questions as we can during our time together. So let's jump right in and talk about kind of the 3 phases first, and then we'll dive into each phase for these nine things. So first, we're going to go to the discover phase, then we're going to move to the prepare phase, and then transition. So you think about the process of moving in kind of 3 ways, right? You want to kind of discover what's going on in your current business, and we're going to jump into that first. So think about the process, learning what Command can do for you. And then adoption is a process and creating a strategy for that. We talk in this company a lot about systems and models, and what's the best system and model to get you over to Command with the least amount of headache? That's the one thing that we're going to be different than a lot of other software companies that you're using. We do not want to disrupt your business. We want this to be an easy, smooth, seamless transition, and we think that's going to take time in order to not disrupt your business. All of you guys know we just started Q2 on Monday. This is the beginning of the busiest 2 months, or busiest 2 quarters of the year for us as real estate agents. We don't want you to take away from what your natural superpower is, which is actually selling houses and representing buyers and sellers. That's your job. That's the number one thing you should be worrying about. Transitioning to Command is a part of that you should time block for on a weekly basis. It's not something that's urgent and you need to throw everything else to the side to come over. Step 2 inside of the discover phase is understanding your business. We want to know what your current process is and what systems and people are a part of your processes. So then we're talking about what it is that you do, not necessarily how you do it. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later, but understanding what you do, not how you do it. Step 3 here is challenging your current systems. What do you want to accomplish? So that's where I talked about kind of the what instead of the how. Not everything in KW Command is going to be a one-for-one trade. If you do it this way in your current system, that doesn't mean you're going to do it exactly the same way in Command. What we're trying to figure out is what you're trying to accomplish, not necessarily how you're accomplishing it. So then you can accomplish that same task in Command in a more efficient, simpler way that makes you smarter as an agent. Are the systems you're using built for you, or have you adjusted your current businesses to fit your systems? So is your technology built for you, or are you using the technology inside of its limitations and in turn kind of shoehorned your business into your current technology? And we're finding that that's the case a lot. So that's the discover phase. Think about the process, understand your business, and challenge your current systems. So I'll pose this question to those in Slido and those here with the room with me today. Why is it so important to map and analyze your existing business processes as a first step? So Slido.com R356, or if you're in the room, you can raise your hand if you have a thought around why it's important to map and analyze your existing processes as a first step. I'll give you guys a couple minutes to think about that. Maybe less than a couple minutes, maybe a couple seconds. I'll tell you a story about why I think it's important to do this, and I think it's important because I didn't actually do it the first time. So when I got access to Command, which is quite a while ago, I literally just started jamming stuff in there. What can I use? How can I use it? And it made my life actually very difficult in the long run. It caused a lot of headaches for my admin. It caused me to waste a lot of time. And without thinking about things ahead of time, I ended up hurting myself and in turn hurting my business because I was spending more time than necessary doing things that were either redundant or I didn't need to do, or trying to map and do things that weren't possible yet in Command. So it's definitely important to analyze your existing business processes as a first step. Michael is joining us and says it maps out your strategy. No strategy equals no results. That's exactly right, Michael. Thanks so much for that comment. It absolutely, no strategy gives you not just no results, it could actually give you negative results and cause you more work in the long term. So take the time to map and analyze your existing business processes. It's going to make your life easier in the long run. All right, so next we're going to move to the prepare phase. Like, what are the things you can do to prepare before you're ever even entering people into Command? Remember, we're now through one phase, we're getting into the second phase, and we haven't even touched the system yet. We're only thinking about our current business. So for step 4, we want to understand and prepare our contacts. And I know a lot of you guys have started to do that. You've started to add contacts either via Kelly, maybe you're manually adding contacts to the system. But we want to really, really understand those contacts. And a couple of things to think about there when it comes to contacts. What are the standard and non-standard fields and tags that you use? Obviously, we're all going to be using first and last name, email address, phone number, things like that, birthday, right? Those are the standard fields that Command and most CRMs have. What are the non-standard fields you're using? Do you have an interesting tag for someone inside of a group? A curated group inside your database? Do you have a custom field that you use for certain things, right? Maybe they're a VIP in your world and you have a custom field for that. Maybe you do the pie flavors one we talk about a lot, right? Maybe you use custom fields for kids and pets. What are those things, those non-standard fields that you use in the system that you're going to want to bring over to Command? And identifying those before you ever start the process is very, very important. Most of us have, if you're like me, you've kind of messied up your current system with a bunch of tags. I know that I have them for all sorts of things. I have a bunch of duplicate tags. They're just spelled slightly different, buyer versus buyers, or VIP versus VIP list, or Sphere versus David Sphere. What are those things inside your current system that you want to bring over? Look at this as an opportunity to really hone in on what you do well and what you want to keep and bring forward. It's kind of like spring cleaning for your system and for your real estate database. The other thing to think about, one of the other things to think about, is how you handle spouse and partner records. Do you currently keep spouses together as one contact, or are they in separate contacts? Inside of Command, we would suggest that you use them as separate contacts. You can link them together in Command, and we have some really intuitive things that can be done. And so linking them together inside of Command is easy. If you currently have them as one contact record in your current system, you're going to have to do some work to figure out, okay, whose phone number is that? Whose email address is that? Do I have them both? Do I not have them both? So that's understanding and preparing your contacts, step 4 in your kind of 9-step transition to Command. You can customize contacts by going to the custom fields and custom tags section. I'm actually going to jump into Command real quick, and you can look at my screen. I'm just going to show you quickly where that is at in the system. We do a whole class on how to do this, so I'm not going to dive too deep here, but under the name drop-down in the top right corner, if you click Settings, you'll be able to see that there's custom fields and custom tags over on the left-hand side. I would strongly suggest that you create all of your custom fields and custom tags before you ever bring a contact over. So create this stuff ahead of time, and you're going to get to import it all at once, as opposed to having to go back and add it one by one once people are already in the system. So that's where you would find custom fields and custom tags. Step 5 is going to be to customize Command for your business. What applications are you going to connect? Creating the actual custom fields and custom tags that I just showed you, and then customizing stages and checklists in your sales pipeline. This sounds like a lot of work because it is. It's also an unbelievable opportunity. It's a great opportunity for you to really analyze if what you're doing in your current business is exactly what you want to do. Are you missing any steps? I find them all the time in our business, especially through our kind of contract to close process. Wow, I'd love to add this here, or I should move this there, or we need to add a checklist item. There needs to be a different stage. Those are all the things that I think about a lot as an agent, and also as someone who kind of runs the operations side of our business. So which applications will you connect? I'll show you where those live under Settings and Applications. So remember, name drop down top right corner, and Applications. Here are all the connected applications that you can use. Again, we do an entire class on this, so we're not going to dive too deep. You're going to want to connect MailChimp. If you don't have a MailChimp account, I would suggest getting one. You're going to need it for a lot of stuff in Command, including your monthly Neighborhood Nurture Smart Plan. Connecting Twitter or Facebook for advertising. Connecting your email provider or Google Calendar. Twilio, do you want to connect a Twilio account and get yourself a number so you can bulk text and call from Command? And Google AdWords and Facebook for Ads Manager. The other big one is PieSync, and PieSync is a piece of software that we partner with that helps two systems talk back and forth to each other. So again, not too deep here. I wouldn't start going and doing a bunch of this stuff now. This is stuff that we do in classes for you and with you. So we want to make sure that you're just thinking about this ahead of time. If you don't have some of these accounts, maybe you're going to get them now instead of waiting until it's time to connect everything. We talked about the custom fields and tags. You can create your custom stages and checklist items right in your sales pipeline. In the top right corner, there's an Edit Stages button, and it's pretty intuitive on how you would create those stages and the checklist inside those stages. And we do a whole class on that, believe it or not. So we spend about 5 hours a day in this room teaching different classes around the things you might do in your system. Creating custom fields and tags and customizing your sales pipeline are both classes we teach. Again, you can go to Command, Sales Pipeline, click the phase, and then hit Edit Stages, and that's where you would do that. This is kind of a screenshot of where that lives. I'll show you in Command if I were to go to Sales Pipeline, which is the handshake icon on the left, and I clicked on any of the phases here, I could just click Edit Stages in the top right corner, and that's where I'd add and change my checklist items. So what are the benefits of customizing the stages and checklists in Command? I'll let those joining us on Slido R356, if you want to customize the stages and you have questions about this or some ahas around the benefits, please submit them now. That's slido.com, R356. Same thing if you're in the room with us. We've got a question from Michael here. Do you think custom fields will ever be a filter option? 100% custom fields will definitely be a filter option down the road. Right now we can filter just by tags, I believe, but you can absolutely filter by custom fields on the road. That's definitely on our roadmap. Alex M's got a great question, actually. This is a little off topic, but I think it's important to cover. Can you talk about the difference between contacts and leads? Or direct me to training online if this topic isn't appropriate to this particular webinar. So great question, Alex. The difference between contacts and leads, and at the most of our sessions, we cover the lead gen model at the beginning. This is not one of those sessions. The biggest difference you can think about between contacts and leads is this. Leads are people that you're only communicating one way. So you're talking to them, they're not talking back to you. A contact is someone that you're having two-way communication with or interactive communication with. So if you join us for any of our other sessions, we talk, I wouldn't say in massive detail about that, but those are the two biggest things. Leads is one-way communication, contacts is two-way or interactive communication. Question from Teresa. Clarification on system tags, please. Assign all contacts in the import CSV file before importing. Yes, so system tags for us, Teresa, great question. I'm actually gonna go back to command and show you what those are. These are not the system tags, these are the custom tags. So system tags, what she's talking about are things like buyer and seller, bought and sold, KW agent. So I'm just gonna click on Adam here and hit edit inside his contact record. So you see my system hung up there for a minute. I always tell people, when in doubt, refresh. So in command, when in doubt, refresh. It's usually gonna help you out and solve your problem. System tags are right here, and we have a whole class on contact cards and everything about contacts and how to customize them. But a system tag are tags that we've delivered from KWRI. You cannot change these, and we may add to these at some point. But things like agent, talent, allied resource, buyer, seller, bought and sold. Bought and sold would signify past clients. KW agent. So we've got agent and KW agent, referral partner, and downline. So those are kind of the standard system tags we give you. Anything else can be created as a custom tag, and you can have as many of those as you would like. Great question, Teresa. Another question from Alex. What if I give certain clients a different experience? Can I set up unique checklists? Absolutely. I would say for that question, join us for our sales pipeline customizable sessions. We talk in detail about how to not only add checklists, but how to have different checklists for different people. But really, really good question. Thanks so much for that. All right, so let's move on to step 6, which is adding contacts like a pro. Notice, we're not even adding anything to the system yet. We're just thinking about how we're gonna do it. So number one, and this is by far the biggest thing you can do to help yourself, is clean up your database. Download that CSV file from your current CRM, which they all give you, and make sure you have good information. My team is actually currently in the process of doing this. So we are going through every agent on our team is taking every single person that's assigned to them in our system, and we're going through and we're starting to segment those contacts. Along with segmenting them into lists like VIP, which ones are clients, which ones are just our sphere, which ones are just leads we're working with. Also, do we have good contact information for all these people? One thing we found out at Family Reunion was the 1 million contacts that got uploaded when we first released Command, only 6% of them had an address. Well, if we're in the business of buying and selling houses and helping people buy and sell houses, it would be really, really nice to know where the house is at, or that they even have one. So understanding full name, email address, phone number, and physical address at a very minimum for everyone in your database is going to be an amazing advantage you can take with you ahead of time. Again, look at this as like spring cleaning for your database. Take this as an opportunity to make phone calls. Even before, I was actually talking to Michael, who's on with me live in the room before we got started. Even if all you do, and you never put anyone into the system for another month, and all you do is clean your database and go through and call everyone in there and get their proper contact info, confirm their contact information, get their address. If that's all you did, and you didn't even ask them the real estate question, I would assume And I would challenge that we would all have more business if we went through and called everyone in our database to confirm their contact information in the next few weeks.
Write that down.
The next step under adding contacts is figuring out how you're going to bring them in. You can either add contacts individually, which would definitely take the longest. You can import them using our CSV file, or you can sync with PySync to an existing system. Understand we teach classes on all those methods. We have specific classes around PySync and importing with the CSV. We're not going to dive too deep into that today, but join me for any of those sessions. We have, like I said, 5 hours a day in this room of sessions around command. And starting next week, there'll be 9:30, 11, 1, and 3. Every single day you can find us here, 9:30, 11, 1, and 3, talking about command and all of the classes, individuals that dive deep into specific aspects of the system. Anonymous question from Slido. How can we change the customized columns in contacts page so that sticks as a default? Let me go into command real quick and we'll take a look at what you're talking about. And again, any questions or comments, feel free to give those to me on slido.com, R356. Raise your hand if you're in the room to ask your question. I think you're talking about these customizable columns at the top. So the way you would do that is through customized columns, and you could check or uncheck any of these columns. We don't have the ability at this point to save those as a default view. You'd have to delete or add those columns every time you came into the system. That is on our roadmap, and it is something we will handle. But great question. If you want to join us for the contacts, this particular contacts class we do, we'll actually dive really deep into both this screen and the detailed contact card. Good question. Walt asked, where do we find those classes? Where do we find the additional classes? So those are on the Tech-Enabled Agent page on KW Command, and I'll actually show you. I'll take you there at the very end of class and show you where you can find all this stuff. There's actually a couple ways you can get to them. All right, so we're through the prepare phase, and we want to go into the transition phase. So take a minute and think about some of your ahas or questions you've had from the discover and the prepare phase, and then we'll move on in just a minute to the transition phase, steps 7, 8, and 9. So we've discovered, we've prepared, and now we're ready to actually start making the move. What are the things we can do to make sure that our business moves over in a meaningful way that's as painless as possible? Step 7, get hyperlocal with lead gen. In settings, select the neighborhoods you serve. So again, in settings, that's the top right corner of command. I'm gonna go there with you right now. Under the name dropdown and click settings. Start to add the neighborhoods that you serve and understanding how that works in our system. That's under the neighborhood snap dropdown right here under my neighborhoods. Again, we do a whole class on this, as we do with most everything we're talking about today. This is a high-level overview for you guys. Add insights and initiate email campaigns. So we do have the monthly neighborhood nurture campaign, which is live in command today. That's a smart plan that sends out a monthly neighborhood nurture email to everyone in your database that has a contact. You can join me for, like I said, we have another class that dives deeply into how to do that. So getting hyperlocal with your lead gen, I would start by getting people's addresses. If you're getting people's addresses, you're going to be set up to be able to handle step 7 when that time comes. So what are some successes you've had with the neighborhood snaps? I'll pose this question on Slido, slido.com, R356. If you have any ahas or successes with the neighborhood snaps or the neighborhood landing pages, please feel free to share those. I'll give you a couple seconds to think about that. I had a success recently with a neighborhood snap. Actually, it wasn't so recently. It was not too long after Mega Camp. And you guys remember Kelly snaps that we released at Mega Camp, and you could start to send out and give that information via Kelly to people. I was actually hosting an open house in my the area that I open house farm. I don't really farm it, but I do all of my open houses in one neighborhood. And I was holding open a house. It was the first weekend on the market. It was priced well. And I had someone come in, and we got into a conversation, me and this lady, about the price of the home. And she was totally convinced that this house was overpriced. She had looked on another site and found average price per square foot. And her average price per square foot was actually lower than what the house was listed at. And I had done some comps before I went into the open house, as I always do. And we started to talk, and we figured out quickly that we disagreed on the price of the home. It wasn't my listing, but the house was priced well. It was priced competitively. I started to talk to her a little bit about why I thought the house was priced well, and what I did is I pulled up a Kelly Snap. I pulled up a neighborhood snap for the area. And what it showed me, without me knowing ahead of time, I just pulled it and showed it to her, that the house was actually priced almost dead on to the penny of the average price per square foot in that neighborhood. That led us to a deeper conversation, and what it did for me was it showed her my knowledge. We actually ended up working together, and we helped her buy a house a few months later. So that gave me an opportunity to look like the neighborhood expert and really help her understand why using a realtor, especially a realtor with KW, was more valuable to her than someone else. So that was a massive aha for me around using the neighborhood snaps. Here's a comment from Slido. We have connected our contacts through eEdge and have over 9,000 leads contacts in the Command contacts, but need to pull them out to better filter them. Great idea, Anonymous. How do you export? So we don't have an export button in Command yet. We do have the ability through PieSync. You could synchronize from Command to another source. That's a pretty deep conversation for this particular class, but if you want to join us for the PieSync class and pose that same question, I'd be happy to show you how you might do that. We've got a neighborhood snap success here from Michael on Slido. My neighborhood snap success definitely relieved me from spending a lot of time pulling listings for my buyers and having Command do it automatically. Huge aha there, right? Like, this is an easy way to pull information and send it right off at any point in time. That's a really, really good aha. Thanks, Michael, on Slido. We've got a Michael in the room with us is typing in chat here. We're using it to both as a conversation with clients and to recruit non-KW agents. We send non-KW agents a link to a landing page, and they're blown away. We have this technology. Great conversation starter. 100%. This is an unbelievable conversation starter. It's an amazing fiduciary tool as well. But Michael makes a really good point that if this is nothing more than a conversation starter to you, remember, you're delivering something that no other agent can deliver. Only a KW agent can deliver what you can to these people. Step 8, adding your current opportunities. So editing your sales pipeline stages, which we talked about earlier, editing your checklist items in phases, right? Remember, in the last phase, what we did is we kind of mapped out those areas. What are the stages all of my transactions go through? What are the checklist items that pertain to those stages? Now we actually want to go into the system and edit those. Actually start to build them before you start to add opportunities. From there, you can start to add your current opportunities or even some of your past opportunities as a test. This is something I've done with my team. I have a team here in Austin, Texas. We do around 80 or 90 units a year, around a $30 million business, 4 total agents, 2 admin. The only person that has opportunities in the system is me. No one else on my team has anything inside of Command. We're taking this slow. We're using this as a process to bring things over and make sure we really understand Command and how it's going to benefit our business before we invest a bunch of time into it. We want to make sure that it's set up exactly the way we want it. Again, you can do that from the opportunities icon on the left-hand side of the screen. It's the handshake. It's the 6th one down on the left, and that's where your opportunities or your sales pipeline will live. Last but not least, identify your next steps. So what next steps can you take in the system? Which applications are going to provide you the most results where you need them? How will you learn more, and what is your plan? The last thing I would ever suggest anyone do is to try and use every single thing and master every single thing inside of Command. Pick the 1 or 2 applications that are going to most benefit you or that you most need in your current business and start there. Think of the 80-20 rule. About 80% of your benefits inside of KW Command are going to come from 20% of the activities. For my team, that looks like contacts and sales pipeline. Those are the 2 most beneficial for me now. It's a place where I can really segment my database in a meaningful way, in a way that I can't do in my current system. And it really gives me the opportunity section, sales pipeline, gives me a really, really transparent view into our business and what's coming down the pipeline, not just what's already in it, but what's on the way through it. How will you learn more? Well, you're going to join us here. We're here, like I said, every day at 9:30, 11, 1, and 3. We have classes on every single application in Command that's functional currently, and we're going to be teaching you everything you can. The other way you can learn more is through the Tech-Enabled Agent page, which we're going to go to in a minute. Last but not least, think about your plan. Do you have a plan to move over? Fail to plan, plan to fail, right? That's the old saying, fail to plan, plan to fail. Make sure you create a plan to move over. And make sure you start to reevaluate that plan as you see new functionality come into Command. So that's identifying your next steps. Take action from here. Use the guide that's on the Tech Enabled Agent page. Map your business. Take the time. It may take you a couple of weeks to actually map your entire business. I spent a couple of weeks with Lance Loken and the Loken Group in Houston. They do about 2,700 units a year. They're one of the biggest teams in the entire company. And it took us a long time just to map the seller journey in their business. It was a very, very cumbersome process, but it was massively beneficial to them to really understand how things work in their world. Use the technology and be patient while doing it. Think of Command like you think of your phone. None of us use every single application on our iPhone, and things are changing on that platform all the time. Command is very similar. It's a massive platform that has a ton of functionality. You're not going to use it all, and we don't expect you to use it all. We want to make sure you're using the stuff that most benefits your business. So just like your iPhone, when you see something new or you run into a little glitch or you don't know how something works, just continue to play with it. It's by far the easiest way to get to know the system, and it's going to make you better at it when you're actually in it full time. So what are some of your ahas from today? What are your ahas or action steps that you're going to take from today? Slido.com, R356. Or if you're in the room, you can raise your hand and let me know what are your ahas from today's session. I hope that I provided you with some value. We appreciate you giving your time to yourself, right? This is you investing in yourself by investing this half hour with us today to understand this transition. We'll give you a couple seconds to think about your ahas from today, and then we'll come and ask you for some of those. And I'll tell you one of the ahas I had was actually from Michael in chat here, right? Using the neighborhood snaps as a conversation starter. Think of it as much as a conversation starter as it is a lead generation tool, right? It's both of those things. And how you can use it in different ways, right? You can use it for recruiting. Are you using them in your open houses? Are you using them with your close sphere and your close database to help them understand the value you're providing them as their agent? Are there any templates or examples for mapping? This is an anonymous question on Slido. We do have a CSV template that you can use to bring contacts over. I'm not sure if that's what you're talking about. We do another whole class on the sales pipeline where we use a job aid to really figure out how you're going to map your sales pipeline in Command. So you can join us for that class. We'll definitely be teaching that one next week. It's one of the best classes we have. From here, again, 9 steps to transition your business to Command. That's on the Tech Enabled Agent page. Let's actually go there and I'll show you what that looks like. So the easiest way to get to the Tech Enabled Agent page, if you look on my screen, if you click on the name drop down and click Command Training, that's going to take you right to the Tech Enabled Agent page. All of the resources you have are right here, right? So here's 9 steps to transition your business. This is the live stream training we're on now. And those guides are all right down here. So all the tier 1 guides live right here on the Tech Enabled Agent page, and you can scroll through them. Here's 9 steps to transition your business. But here's the additional guides as well. Customizing your sales pipeline and 7 steps to launch your neighborhood lead gen. All of our on-demand videos. Everything you're seeing here is going to be on-demand and is going to go live. And then the how-tos. Here's a whole library of how-to videos that our amazing people at KWU have created for you. We have a whole team that's creating this content, that's making it digestible, that's breaking it down into small chunks. So we really, really appreciate them for doing that. Excuse me. Dean's got an aha from Slido. He said he's definitely going to be cleaning up his contacts this weekend. Great live stream. Thanks, Dean. I really appreciate that. All right, last but not least, I would love it if you could give us some feedback on this. You can take the course evaluation right at your phone using Kelly. So take the course evaluation, kwueval.com, kwueval.com on your web browser.
All right, that's where we're going to go ahead and finish for today. And now I want to open it up to you guys. What are you hearing? What did you think? What did you take away from some of the things that they mentioned and walk through them there?
Think about our current processes and clean them up.
Yeah, absolutely. Before you just go and shove everything into Command, what are you doing right now? What is it looking like? And do you want to keep that process and just utilize Command to maintain the process that you have? Or do you see something that someone else is doing and you want to mimic what they're doing, copy the system that they have, and make yours reflect the success that other people are having? So absolutely, that's a great point. What else?
Is this a necessity?
What's that?
Is it a necessity to do this?
Well, in some way, shape, or form, to keep it's a place for your database to be, and it'll market to your people for you. Yes. Now, if you want to do real estate completely different than that, and just stick with doing it on paper, I mean, nobody's going to stop you from doing that. But this way right here, it'll market to your people for you. Yeah. Sharon.
Yeah, I'm wondering, is there a clause that's particularly about the neighborhood snaps? Because that's something I'd like to start with.
So yeah, absolutely. On that page that they mentioned, you can go to. He showed you how to get to it through command. You can also go to technology.kw.com, and when you go there, it's going to pull up. It's going to pull up this page right here, and this is what the main page is going to look like. It's going to have some great information on there. However, what you're going to want is right over here, under Explore command or Discover command. And then when you click the Explore Features button here, you know all of the different tabs that are on the side of the screen when you log into command? It's got a video for each and every single one of those tabs.
Okay, cool.
And it'll walk you through everything on there. And then it's technology.kw.com. That's the page you go to. And then if you're interested in the Kelly stuff, which the snaps are going to be part of Kelly, you can also do market snaps through command now as well. You can click on the Kelly button right there, and it's going to have videos that explain the different features that are available to you in Kelly. Does that make sense?
So if I have on the same computer
Mm-hmm.
a place that I can download from a platform, it's QuickBooks,
Yeah.
all of my contacts,
Mhm.
and I've kind of made sure the information is there. Can I do it directly into this, or is
So
it going
what-
to class?
It's going to clash a little bit, and that's okay, because what we have is we have a template that you can use, and then you just copy the columns that you want and paste them into the template that we have,
Okay.
save that as a CSV file, and then upload it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. If you were to just take your QuickBooks sheet,
CSV.
it wouldn't transfer over the way that you want it to do.
Okay.
So it's better to just copy it all, paste it in the template that we have, and then upload the template.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then if you have, before you do that though,
Where do I get the template?
you can log into agent.kw.com. And when you do that, you're going to put in your username and password here.
Right.
And then you'll go over to contacts right here. And then right here, you're just going to click import. And then there's going to be a download button that comes up. And you'll just click the download button, and it'll download that CSV file for you.
Okay. Onto my desktop.
Mhm.
Whatever. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, if you have, we can go ahead and check this for everyone right now. But if you haven't tried it yet, you can go into this thing called PySync over here. It's under settings. And then you can scroll down once it loads.
Refresh.
Yeah, there we go. He taught us to refresh. So.
Yeah.
There we go. It worked. All right, so right here is called PySync. You can click Show Details, and then Connect More. And let's see if what did you say you're using?
QuickBooks.
QuickBooks. Let's see if QuickBooks is one of them. Yeah, QuickBooks Online. Is that what you use?
I'm not online.
Okay. So if you were using QuickBooks Online, you could just click this button, connect your account, and it would pull everything over for you.
What does it say right under there? If your service of choice is not available?
Yeah, if PySync doesn't have what you're looking for, you can click this link and request that they do an integration. So let's say that
it is integrated with the banks
Yeah,
and all that
yeah.
different stuff. So maybe that's the case.
Is anyone using Top Producer? You don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. If you're using Top Producer, you just type in Top
Top
Producer.
Producer is not currently synced.
It's not on there. Okay.
That's what I wanted to ask, so that way.
Contactually, does anyone in here use Contactually? Okay, so now, Chris, you use Contactually, right?
Yep.
And when you realized you could do it through here, what happened?
So much easier.
So once you did that, once you linked the two, what happened for you?
I went and I got a coffee and I typed in my account information, and then before I was done drinking my coffee, I had synced 800 or so contacts.
Yeah.
Just fully synced. And it goes both ways. So when I change something in Command, it changes it contactually and vice versa.
Yeah.
Do you still need contactually?
I'm not fully over to Command yet, so I do, but if I was just moving it over, it would be super easy to.
Yeah, there's a ton of different things that are on here that you can sync if you use them. So you can go right around in here and just look. Like if you use Microsoft Exchange for your email, you can do it there. Outlook is one of them. Your Google contacts, actually, you can do that right there. If you want to sync your contacts out of Google, it'll do that for you as well. And then it'll pull them right into your database.
It only does one for free.
Being nosy, give me a second.
Yeah.
And then you pay for the subsequent ones.
Yeah. What are you looking for?
One contact?
No, one system. So
Oh,
my
okay.
syncing with Contactually is free for me, but if I also wanted to sync with some other service like QuickBooks Online, that would
Yeah.
cost me a little bit of money every month.
So find the one thing that you already have everything in, use that one for free first, and then if you need to do more, you can do more. Yeah. All right, so don't overwhelm yourself is the number one thing. Okay? Don't overwhelm yourself. And as they mentioned in there multiple times over and over and over again, this is a great time to reach out to your database, even if you're not going to talk to them about real estate. And just having that conversation, hey, I'm updating my database right now, and I just want to make sure that I have your contact information correct. Yes, Julie?
Who all has access to your database once you put everything into KWN?
You do. If you need support on the back end from somebody at KWRI, they can get into it, but you're the only one that has access to your database.
So nobody has access?
No.
Staff, coaches, nobody?
Nobody.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah. I couldn't get in and see it if I wanted to.
That's the whole purpose of
Yeah.
doing all of this.
Yeah. That's why it was done. Any other? Yes.
Actually, just has a great question. You know how someone, if they're searching around in your site, you'll get a lead sent to you.
Mhm.
Like John Smith has requested more information on 225 Smith Lane or whatever.
Yes.
From that, you still have to actually manually enter it into your command database. It doesn't automatically populate into command.
Depends on how you. So on your Playster website. Yep. Yes, that's correct right now. Now, I think their time frame for rolling out new websites for everyone is July. Now, those websites there, anytime anybody searches for something on your website, it's going to automatically upload it into Command, and it's going to send you a push notification through Kelly and let you know you've just had a new contact added to your database.
Right now, it's still necessary for me to have Market Leader / Edge connected to that.
Yeah.
And then eventually we'll do that process with Command.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
When?
July.
Okay.
Yeah, that's for the websites.
How many of you are working on your Playster sites now?
We've been working.
Stop it.
What do you mean working on them?
What'd you say?
I said, stop it.
Stop it.
Not working
Go
on
leave
them,
it
like
right.
we still have them.
Yeah, you still have
Yeah,
it.
you should have them, yes, but what he's talking about is when your new websites are rolled out, they're gonna be more like Netflix, where Scott and I'm sure, have different viewing choices on Netflix, although we have kids the same age, so he might get a lot of My Little Ponies, I'm not sure I do.
No, I do.
So when I log into Netflix, my Netflix search matches my search criteria, my habits. Okay, and so your new websites will do the same. So no one in this room will have same websites. When your clients log in, they're gonna see different things. So just know that. I would rather you guys spend time, I've been getting a lot of questions on websites lately. How do I set this up? What am I doing? You can have it running. Don't spend a lot of time on it though, because those are going to go into the new realm of customer focus, right? So that way every single person has an individual website that logs in from your command, if you will.
Will the URL
Okay.
change?
Great question.
It doesn't have to.
Erica.
Kathy and I have already paid a significant chunk to have our website done about a year ago or less than a year ago. So
Your Playster site?
we used an outside company that helped us do all of the formatting and everything on it.
Have you been getting?
I have a domain that we pay for, right? So how is that gonna be impacted by that?
So if you have your own domain, it shouldn't be impacted much if you still choose to use that domain. But what I would ask you guys to do is do a profit and loss on what you spent and what you're earning on your website right now. And I'd ask you to, when the new stuff comes out, start to compare the lead generation that's happening off your new sites to the one that's happening off your old sites. And I think you'll see where your time needs to be spent.
And if you choose, if you enjoy what you get through Playster and you want to continue using that, that's going to be an option for you. You'll just pay for it.
We'll pay for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So here's the thing, and I think that there are a few of us who have done those things, and the bottom line is, these are gonna be, those websites are going obsolete anyways, right? How many of you still have it to where when your people log into your website, or anything that they log in on behalf of you, that they have to put their information in? Okay. So Gary the other day said that's a waste of time because you're training them to go to Zillow. Because they don't have to log into Zillow or any other quick search website. So your new website won't have that option, and yet you will get their contact information. It will allow you a more the consumer experience is gonna change. And so these things that we're used to are a habit obsolete.
Hold on,
Yes.
ask me a question again, I'm sorry, how many of us are having people log in? I'm sorry, what was the
Like
question?
if you have to, if you're asking, someone has to put their email or contact information in to get your photos or listing information.
Right.
There was somebody who posted, maybe it was on our TL site, that posted some really cool listings. I wanted to see what they had, and I went and I couldn't get to the information on their website because it wanted me to log in. And so I just Googled it and I found all the information. I have to give them my info, right?
Realty Austin every time.
Okay, so if you guys have a really great consumer experience on your app, they're able to get the information and you're still able to get their information, would that be valuable to you?
Yes.
Yes, as long as, do we have it set up where they say that they consent to be contacted or something?
That's a
Because
good
if
question.
they
Download the app,
I'm sure.
yes.
Yes.
That's part of the application download
Okay.
when they bring it onto their device.
Okay.
So,
But if
sorry
on
for
the
the
website,
tangent, I'm just saying.
On their website, if they're on the website, for example, as opposed to the app, will there be something that says, you consent to
It
be?
will all be linked.
Now there's a way around. There's a way around having the thing on there where where in order for them to see anything, they have to click. They have to put their information in.
Right.
If you activate something called Google Pixel, or not Google Pixel, it's called Pixel.
Okay.
It's through Facebook.
Yes.
You if you share the listing to Facebook and they go from Facebook to your page, it automatically grabs their contact information.
Because they're giving approval through that.
They're giving you, yeah.
So, all I'm saying is what they were talking about in the video, paying attention to your database, cleaning it up, spring cleaning, keep that in your mind. Don't go to the easy stuff of, I'm just gonna tinker with my website, or I'm gonna do all these other sparkly things. Work really hard on your database, because once you transition, it's gonna change the look of your business, okay?
In this, yes, Paul.
I'm overwhelmed.
You're not the only one.
Well, I was with Southern International, which is not a franchise.
Yeah.
That's in Santa Fe, so this is very, very, very different. And I had a blog. What about blogs?
That's available to you right now. Yeah, it's
Do I
through.
create my own?
No, it's already on your. It's part of your Playster page. When you have your second follow-up meeting with Lauren, and you get, she'll show you where you can log into your websites. It's one of the tabs on there.
So I don't create my own blog and I don't create my own website.
You don't have to. We've done it all for you.
You can if you want to.
If you want to, you can. Yeah. Jamie.
So once we've gotten past the scrubbing of the database and we've got everybody in there accurately, I just saw the other day, like all of a sudden, so like when you have a team, like like my buyer's agent, like Janice's stuff is in my command now. So once we're there, what's the maintenance program for our clients in terms of follow-up and
Right now, the
smart
first
plans,
the first smart plan that is available to everyone is the monthly neighborhood smart plan, and it will automatically go to people who you have their actual home address in there for. So all you have to do for each one of them is just choose the neighborhood that they live in, and then it's going to automatically go to them every month. More smart plans are being rolled out over the course of the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, we're just struggling with drip campaigns and.
Here's the greatest answer. It's gonna depend on what you want your business to look like, which is why this is so important for you guys to go through the steps and understand, because every person in here has a business that looks differently. So how you follow up with your clients may be different than how Laura follows up with her clients.
Right.
Okay.
And if
well,
you
I think too is part of as we add to our database
Mhm.
and we want to put them on drip campaigns. I don't see where I can do that yet.
Well,
You're
we'll
right.
have to train you on that.
You
That's
can't
correct.
do that yet, with the exception of the neighborhood one.
Okay.
So you can go back through them later and then add them to whatever you want. Or, you know, the tags that are in there.
Correct.
So the reason the tags are in there is because if you want to, you can just search for that one tag, and then you can add every person with that one tag to an email campaign without having to go through every single
Yeah,
one of them.
we've been playing with that too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the database too is kind of reset. Was it this week? Was it
Yes.
last
Yes.
week?
So as
So
of
how do we-
yesterday,
I think
the
it was last week.
DTD2.
So how do we tag it with those?
You would create those tags within,
That's-
so in your custom
okay.
tags as he was showing, I would go back and look at the video on how to create that.
Okay.
I did it, it took me 5 minutes just to plug in the tags, and then I can do a bulk set, and you can go in and
Perfect.
bulk them. But,
Okay, thank you.
if you have questions that are a little bit more detailed, I go back and watch the video, cause I'm sure there's
Yeah.
a little bit of nuance that might help you,
So where is that video? Where was that?
The one that we just watched?
Okay, yeah, the same one, okay. I thought-
Or
you mean
actually,
on how to do tags?
Yeah.
So
So-
can you show 'em where they're all at?
yeah, there. When you go to command here, and you click on this button at the top that says command training, it's going to take you right here, and then you can scroll down to there's how-to videos, and there's a ton of how-to videos on there.
You can also get them on Kelly if you have
Mhm.
Kelly on your phone.
Yeah. All right.
So if you're bored in a waiting
So
room or something.
here's what I want you to come away with. Start with one thing. Figure out what do I want it to look like, or do I love the system that I have right now? Do I like the way that I'm doing business? Or if there was something I could change, this would be it. And then we can help you to customize what command's going to look like for you and your business. And leverage us every single Monday. I'm here from 9:30 to 10:30, with the exception of this coming Monday because I'm going to be at Masterminds in Florida. So starting the Monday after Easter again, every Monday from 9:30 to 10:30, we're going to be going over different features in command and different ways that you can actively engage with them. There's going to be some things in here that you're like, that's stupid, I'll never use it. And somebody else is like, oh my God, that's the only feature I'm going to use because it's going to help me do this. You don't have to use everything. You can only use the things that are going to apply to you. Yes, ma'am?
Is there a way to chunk that down each Monday to maybe decide what that topic's gonna be? Because
Yeah.
a lot of folks, if they're coming in, it's like every Monday we talk about command. That means new folks could come in every single time and time is spent talking about
The same
just
thing.
Yeah.
getting started with command. And for those of us who want to come to command, we wanna hear the next topic.
So actually, what we've done is we've created it'll start the Monday after Easter.
Uh-huh.
Is we're gonna have a command word of the week, and a tech
Awesome.
word of the week.
Yeah.
And in each of those sessions, we're going to be going over that tech word of the week and how that applies to the business and how you can utilize it in command.
That's good,
Yeah.
okay.
So after Easter?
The Monday after Easter. Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Will that be added to the calendar?
He is risen and class has started.
It's on the calendar. It is on the
It's on the calendar
We'll
every
add the
Monday.
tech word of the day to the calendar.
It's called Command Central. So
I got an email from a
Scott Fisher?
KW?
Robert Fisher, maybe. Robert Fisher?
Is there Robert Fisher?
Yes.
And where, are they here in?
They're actually out of our Round Rock office.
Oh, okay.
There's a Jamie Fisher team.
No, it's a real estate agent and friend of mine in Santa Fe said that he was a friend of hers.
Oh.
So I just was, see if I can meet him, but he's not here down.
All right. It's probably Robert Fisher. Yeah. All right. Is there a sponsor out there? Yes. Oh, thank you for reminding us. Kristen and I will not be here next week. We've brought in somebody who is going to be here next week, and I think you guys might like her. Her name's Ava Swookash. She's going to be filling in for us all next week. She'll be here every single day, with the exception of, I believe, Tuesday morning. So I'd tell you to be on your best behavior, but I really need to have a conversation with her and make sure she's on her best behavior. So, and yes.
And we're also not staffed on Friday
Yes.
next week for Good Friday.
Correct.
We're not here, and then I will be out Thursday the 18th through the 22nd. So if you need DAs, DA revisions, contact Miss Lauren.
All right. Good. All right. With that, how are you? Come on in, Wilshire Homes.
Yes.
The bottle?
That's okay.
I'm not quite sure what has to do with this. Perfect.
Well, welcome everybody. My name is Diane Longo and I'm with Wilshire Homes. For those of you who are not familiar with Wilshire, our parent company is MHI McGuire Home Builders, and our two companies that we operate from here are Coventry and Wilshire. So Coventry is going to be the higher end. We are a Texas-based company, and we've been started since 1988. Communities that we're basically in are going to be, there's quite a few in Georgetown, Leander, Round Rock, Liberty Hill, and I am out in Pflugerville in the Blackhawk community. So how many people are familiar with Blackhawk and Pflugerville? Oh good, quite a few hands. And for those who aren't, then it's a good thing that I'm here today. So our community, we have homes that range from 280,000 to up over 500,000. So the Pflugerville, everybody knew and loved 5 years ago, has changed drastically. And that has a lot to do with, the 130 and 45 tolls coming through there. It used to be just farmland, there was nothing out there. Now we have Stonehill Plaza, which has Home Depot, movie theaters, 30 restaurants. That's all 3 minutes from the community. Super HEB is out there. It's 20 minutes to get to the airport. With the toll roads, you can get to downtown Austin, everything else really quickly. So suddenly, Pflugerville's become the hot spot and the place to be. So we are located right off of Kelly Lane. And, with my price points, we have 3 different sections. We have our smaller section, which are 55-foot lots. Our mid-section is 70-foot lots. And then our higher end is going to be the 80-foot lots. And some of those are over 1/3 of an acre. So if you have people that are looking for a nice big chunk of land and, place for the dog to run, we have it. The one thing that that Wilshire kind of prides themselves on, well, it's actually 2 things. It's going to be our architectural style, detail, the built around you concept, plus our energy efficiency. So with the built around you concept, we can do generational suites, we can do double masters, we can do handicap features. So it's not just a cookie cutter home.
Gosh, I was hoping you were going to pour the slab. I was going to sit in it and you were just going to build the house around it.
If you like. Almost. It takes about 8 months, so if you want to sit there, yeah.
I'll bring a tent.
That is a good one, though. But besides that, it's going to be energy efficient. We are LEED certified builder, which means we do a ton of energy things that a lot of other builders don't do. And I even have a pamphlet here that gets into some of it if anybody wants to take a look at that. But besides just saying we're energy efficient, we put our money where our mouth is. We have a 2-year guarantee. So basically on about a 2,500 square foot home, we guarantee that the buyer's heating and cooling portion of their utility bills will be under $70 on average a month. And by putting our money where our mouth is, they go in at the end of the year, they put in all their bills, everything else, it calculates the formula. If it's higher than that, we refund back the difference.
Wow.
So, yeah, we're, really big on all the energy efficient, drought resistant plants, all of that kind of stuff. And then the great thing for the realtors, and this is across all Wilshire Coventry communities, any completed inventory homes we pay 4% on. And on any of the to-be-builts, we do all the work for you. So basically, you bring the clients to us and we're gonna handle everything from there. You can be as hands-on as you wanna be or as hands-off. But we're gonna kind of take it from there and make sure that your clients are well taken care of and updated, provide pictures to them, all of that. Anybody have any questions? Wow, a easy group today.
I live in a Wilshire home now.
Yay, what
Yeah.
community are you in?
Santa Rita Ranch.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I didn't know about the utility thing, so
Yes,
that's awesome.
well now you know.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn that thing on all the time.
But I'm gonna leave some flyers here with the inventory homes that we do have. The first two are completed, so those are eligible for 4% commission, and please bring your clients out to meet us. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Kristen, you got anything else?
Hey, no, thank y'all. I've been getting great questions. I know a lot of you are out there killing it in business, so keep doing what you're doing. Focus on your lead gen. 'Tis the season. Get well, getting's good, right? What's that for me?
All right, and remember, they've got the live streams on here. You can access them anytime. They are all day, every day. I think he said 9, 11, 1:30, and 3 every single day. So 1 and 3. Okay, there we go. All right, y'all have a wonderful day. See you later.
That's what I heard him say.
That's KW Connect. Well, I have
Paperweight for now. Oh, that's right. Not really going to use.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it's.